Welcome, my friend. Take a slow breath. Let the noise around you become quiet for a moment. This story is not fast. It does not rush. It invites you to pause, to listen, and to feel. As you read, allow your thoughts to slow down. This is a story about space, silence, and clarity. It is about what happens when the mind becomes full and what can happen when it finally becomes empty. Stay with the words and let curiosity guide you forward. The world moves every second without stopping. Sounds, images, messages, and demands flow like a never-ending river. From early morning to late night, the mind collects everything it touches. Ideas stack on ideas, worries sit beside hopes, and memories mix with plans. Over time, this collection becomes heavy. The mind begins to feel crowded, like a room filled with furniture where no space is left to walk freely. In such a state, even simple thoughts struggle to move. At first, fullness feels powerful. A busy mind believes it is active and productive. It believes that more thoughts mean more control. But slowly, confusion begins to grow. Decisions become harder. Small problems feel large. Rest feels distant even during quiet moments. The mind keeps talking, repeating the same ideas again and again, like an echo in a closed space. This is when the weight of fullness reveals its true nature. Imagine a clear sky before clouds arrive. The space feels open and endless. Light moves freely. Now imagine that same sky filled with dark, heavy clouds. The sky still exists, but it feels smaller, tighter, and darker. The mind works in the same way. Thoughts are like clouds. When too many gather, clarity disappears. Nothing new can be seen, not because it is gone, but because it is hidden. The habit of holding on begins quietly. Each thought feels important, so it is kept. Each worry feels necessary, so it is repeated. Each memory feels valuable, so it is protected. Over time, letting go starts to feel dangerous. The mind believes that if it releases something, it may lose control. This belief builds walls, and behind these walls, tension grows without rest. Silence is often misunderstood. It is seen as empty, boring, or unproductive. Many avoid it because silence allows thoughts to surface without distraction. But silence is not the absence of life. It is the space where life becomes visible. Just as a lake reflects the sky only when its surface is still, the mind reflects truth only when it is calm. In moments of deep quiet, something interesting happens. The mind notices how loud it usually is. Thoughts appear one by one instead of all at once. The speed slows down. Between one thought and the next, there is a small gap. This gap may seem unimportant, but it holds great power. Inside that space, there is no worry, no plan, no memory. There is only awareness. Emptiness does not mean nothing exists. It means nothing is being held. A cup is useful not because of its walls, but because of the empty space inside. If it were full all the time, it could never receive water. The mind works in the same way. When it is always full, it cannot receive new understanding. When it becomes empty, it becomes ready. Releasing thoughts does not require force. Fighting the mind only creates more noise. Letting go begins with noticing. When a thought appears, it can be seen without judgment. There is no need to follow it or push it away. Like a leaf floating on water, it can pass naturally. The mind slowly learns that it does not need to hold everything to remain safe. As this practice continues, the mind starts to feel lighter. The constant pressure begins to fade. Problems still exist, but they no longer sit so heavily. Solutions appear more easily, not because effort increased, but because space was created. In this space, creativity breathes. Calmness spreads gently, like warmth on a cold morning. Time feels different in an empty mind. Minutes no longer rush forward. Each moment feels complete on its own. The past loses its strong pull, and the future stops demanding attention. What remains is presence. In presence, there is no need to prove, chase, or defend. There is only experience, simple and clear. The world itself begins to look different. Colors appear brighter. Sounds feel softer or sharper in a pleasant way. Small details, once ignored, become noticeable. This change does not come from the outside. It comes from the inside, from a mind no longer crowded by endless commentary. When inner noise fades, outer life becomes vivid. Emptiness also brings honesty. Without constant thinking, truth rises naturally. Feelings become clearer. Desires reveal their true shape. What once felt confusing becomes simple. This simplicity is not weakness. It is strength without tension. It is understanding without struggle. There is a quiet confidence in an empty mind. It does not need to react quickly. It does not need to explain everything. It trusts its ability to respond when needed. This trust grows from experience, from seeing that letting go does not lead to loss, but to balance. The mind may resist emptiness at first. Old habits do not disappear easily. Thoughts will return, sometimes louder than before. This is not failure. It is part of the process. Each return is an opportunity to notice again, to release again. Over time, the mind learns a new rhythm, slower and softer. Emptiness creates room for rest. True rest is not sleep or distraction. It is the absence of inner pressure. In this rest, energy returns naturally. Motivation appears without force. Actions feel aligned instead of rushed. Life begins to flow rather than push. In an empty mind, listening becomes deeper. Words are heard fully without planning a response. Understanding grows naturally. Connections feel more real because attention is complete. This presence strengthens communication, even without effort. Fear also loses its power in emptiness. Fear needs stories to survive. It feeds on imagined futures and repeated memories. When these stories are not held, fear weakens. What remains is awareness, steady and grounded. The journey toward emptiness is not about escaping the world. It is about meeting the world with clarity. Responsibilities remain, challenges remain. But the way they are carried changes. They no longer sit on a crowded surface. They move through open space. Gradually, emptiness becomes familiar. It feels like returning home after a long journey. There is relief in not carrying unnecessary weight. There is freedom in not needing constant thought. This freedom does not separate from life. It deepens connection to it. In emptiness, the mind becomes like clear water. When something is placed into it, the movement is visible. When nothing is placed, it remains still. This clarity allows wise action. Responses come from understanding, not from habit. The value of emptiness reveals itself over time. It cannot be fully explained, only experienced. Words can point toward it, but they cannot replace it. Each moment of letting go builds familiarity. Each pause strengthens awareness. The story of emptiness is simple, yet profound. It does not demand belief. It invites experience. In a world that constantly adds, emptiness teaches the power of subtraction. By removing what is unnecessary, what truly matters becomes visible. As the mind empties, gratitude appears naturally, not for something gained, but for something released. The quiet itself becomes a gift. The space becomes supportive rather than frightening. Stillness becomes alive. In this state, learning becomes easier. The mind absorbs without resistance. Understanding settles deeply. This is why emptiness supports growth. It prepares the ground before seeds are planted. There is no final destination in emptiness. It is not something to achieve once and keep forever. It is a practice, a returning. Each moment offers a choice to hold or to release. With each release, the mind remembers its natural state. The world will continue to be loud. Demands will continue to appear. But inside, a quiet space can remain. This space becomes a refuge, always available, always patient. Emptying the mind does not remove life's meaning. It reveals it. Meaning is not found in endless thinking, but in clear seeing. When the mind is empty, life speaks softly, and it can finally be heard. Now, as this story comes to rest, notice the space between these words and the next thought. That space is not empty in a negative way. It is open, calm, and alive. Return to it whenever the mind feels full again.